Assembled delegates. Opening NIAS 2016, we've got Rear Admiral Dr. Thomas Daum, Chief of Staff and Deputy General Manager of the NATO Communications and Information Agency. Dr. Daum was appointed Chief of Staff and the DGM in January this year and has also taken on the role of the Chief Operating Officer of the agency, with responsibility for ensuring the delivery of the agency's products and services. He's held a number of positions inside the German Ministry of Defense and some in NATO headquarters. He's commanded people, and I can tell you personally, he gets people. He also gets technology. I believe he's a superb man for the challenges that we'll face in cyber domain. He brings a wealth of competence and experience to the agency, and I suspect he'll be the man that's leading the agency in the day-to-day sense as NATO takes on cyber domain. Dr. Daum, please open NIAS 2016. Thank you, sir. Thanks, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, welcome to Belgium, welcome to Mons, welcome to NIAS 2016. To be honest, while sitting there during the last minutes, I have the feeling I missed the envelope, because at the end of my speech I need to open it and say the Oscar goes to whoever that is, might be the NKirk this year. It's quite overwhelming. It's good that the room is darkened, so I have the feeling I stand here on my own, just alone, but I'm more than happy to be here. Welcome also from the General Manager, Kuhn Geisper. Sorry for him that he's not here, but that's for good reason, for the other commitments he has. When we agreed that this year's theme for NIAS would be the next generation starts now, of course I was expecting that a young major or lieutenant colonel would stand here opening that environment. Now it's me, and the fact that I'm here, I have the opportunity to welcome you. I feel that's a great compliment, so I'll take it with me. I'm still part of the next generation. That's great. As you've heard from Paul Smith, our great moderator, we have this year's conference really in a unique context. And of course, that's just why we follow the Warsaw Summit, who made some good statements about cyber. And of course, we on NATO side, with our IT infrastructure and especially with the cyber defense capabilities, are looking forward to get a major refresh. And that's great, also great for industry. So in the next years, from 2017 to 2021, we'll spend a lot of money, 70 millions, you may hear it. So there's a lot of value of that work, especially for those companies in the other area. So the next generation of cyber defense starts today with the conversation we will have during the next 2 days. Of course, cyber defense is something that's driven by the private sector. So for us, with the NATO, with nations, we have to embark on your way ahead, follow you, and get the best out of it. And this is why, especially in the light of the investment that NATO is going to take, we are more than interested to have this early conversation with you. We will then start the acquisition piece sometime in the future, but now we need that conversation. And at least with this idea of cyber as the fourth domain in military warfare, this is also something that we need to discuss. So over the next 2 days, we will discuss the next steps in NATO's cyber defense from the political perspective, thanks to Ambassador Ducaro, from the operational perspective, thanks to General Walter Huhn, from the transformation side of the house. We are still, I think, miss the speaker for that, but I'm pretty sure ACT will manage that. And at least we'll hear from NATO's responsible entity defending NATO networks 24/7, which is the NKirk, and Ian West on top will talk to you. So this is about the NATO's view that we will share with you. The other view is about the nations, and I welcome so many nations in this room, as we want to know, where do you see your challenge, what is your way of going forward, and how can we merge with our idea? For me, of course, the large participation of nations, national delegations, national industry in the audience is critical for the success of this symposium. NATO needs to be strong in cyberspace, yes, but it also needs interoperability in the cyberspace. NATO network play a role, but it will all be, in any operations, will all be some role, at least a small part of this, connecting forces, an important role, but it's all about interoperability. So NIAS for the nations, I'm sure, is also an opportunity to identify possibilities to team up with the other one on capability development, maybe with NATO, maybe with other nations. So threat sharing is at least one area where we have seen successful progress in the past, and this is a multinational effort, of course, as the networks don't end at our own borderlines. So there is room for collaboration. Take the advantage of these 2 days, interact, and then bring it to success. Starting already this afternoon, as Paul pointed out, we'll hear from industry. Which way do you see what cyberspace will evolve? What are the considerations that you take of being up to speed with your systems all the time? And what is for us, for NATO, the interesting piece where we can get the right knowledge? I think this is the strength of NIAS, almost for the 13th time, as we hear a two-way dialogue. From NATO perspective, we will tell you and you will hear about our requirements, and what we expect from you is getting your ideas, what we can do to bring that up. So as we discuss next generation defense, we will identify opportunities where we can work together. This dialogue with the industry especially has turned into action throughout the last years, and I would like to take this opportunity and congratulate, salute, thank the industry for your heavy involvement helping NATO. We've almost got 8 partnership agreements together with the industry on cyber information sharing, which is a great success. And we have also held 3 workshops on threat vector analysis, in-depth workshops with the industry. The last one also already some weeks ago. So there is a huge effort on industry side. There is a huge benefit for all sharing this information. And this is real practical work helping NATO to strengthen our systems. So NATO Industry Cyber Partnership, NICP, there is no NICP without the I, which stands for industry. So my thanks to the industry for your engagement, and be sure we will need more of your support. And why? Well, at least the Warsaw Summit raised the bar for NATO networks significantly. And I'll show you a video why this is the case. Just look and expect. To be honest, I'm pretty sure you know what we are talking about. 24/7 missile defense in NATO. If that needs to work, we are talking about minutes, not about hours. If there is a missile attack against NATO forces, NATO territories, we only have minutes to respond. The information will go from national sensors to Rammstein. They will decide and add back to relevant national sensors, shooters, to choose the right ones to intercept that missile. That entire data flow is on NATO network. Once again, we're talking about minutes and not hours. There is no way for server unavailable, so 3 tries to get this up to work with the video wouldn't help if the missile is approaching. There is no way of rebooting the system in that matter. There is no way of calling the NATO Council together to discuss. There is no way to consult the nation. The system must run. And that's a matter what we are working for. We must defend the network must be resilient, and it must work in that moment as it should be, and you just saw the opposite. So remember the three threats that we face. It's the man in the loop, it's the software in the loop, obviously. The man in the loop was Michael, software in the loop was the system. And what about the hardware in the loop, where I'm still worrying? I think we do a lot with our routers, switches, servers, hardware, and all that stuff. But what about the missile, the radar side, and the connection in between, the shooters? Are we sure that in that building blocks, all the components are well known, well understood, and there is no compromised component in it? I'm not talking about the, if I may say, the Chinese router that we might find somewhere. But what about all the systems? Are we well ahead on that? And with Internet of Things, just to start kidding again, if we talk about smart home, do you trust your fridge? What he is telling you, what you should buy at the department store because the fridge is empty? You better take care of your fridge. Finally, I was only partially joking at the beginning about the new generation. Of course, there is a new generation of sailors, soldiers, airmen, and cyber warriors joining our ranks, and they have a fundamentally different expectation about NATO's IT and also about national IT. So if we want to have experts in uniform, we should have modern IT in place to attract all these people. Of course, we have some good ideas of where we want to go: more secure mobility, multi-level authentication, and at least secure use of the public cloud. And as I've already said, interoperability and resilience remain the enduring themes. So whatever the next generation of cyber defense will be, technical-wise, engineers, military, it needs to support rapid collaboration amongst the 28 and future 29 allies. Interoperability and resilience in cyberspace is what allows NATO to protect the alliance from ballistic missiles and sustain the NATO response force. I'm a German, and there is a most important word that relates to cyber, and that's exactly the same in English: hybris. In cyber, hybris is our worst enemy. Thinking that we have solved it, thinking that we are safe, thinking that nothing can happen to us will be the mistake. So this symposium is the best antidote for that. At NIAS, we always scare each other a little bit. We talk of the threat, we talk of the attacker, what the only need for him to get it right once might be, how one email at all can put the networks down, valued at tens of millions of euros. But at NIAS, we also inspire each other, including in the workshop sessions. We exchange views, we change minds, we refresh our thinking, and we build networks, we build connections, we communicate, and at the end, there might be friendship as well. That's what this conference is about. A little bit of fear, a lot of inspiration, and a lot of connections. What we ultimately do is help to ensure that NATO can operate and succeed in what is now its fourth operational domain. Next to maritime, land, and air, it's no cyber. And there were a lot of thoughts and concerns if this is valuable to make cyber a fourth domain. I would say, let's think about 110 plus years ago. Mankind had started to fly airplanes at a very early stage. But what they found out is you can throw stones out of that aircraft and it would scatter the boots on the ground. That was at least the foundation of the Air Force. This was about introducing one new operational domain, which is the air domain. So we have done this 100 years ago, and I'm pretty sure with cyber, we did a good job, and now we will bring this up to speed. Friends, colleagues, I hereby declare NIAS 2016 open. The next generation has just begun. Have a terrific event. Enjoy. I'll be here for the 2 days, so see you throughout. And that's my welcome. Paul, back to you. Enjoy the show.
Thanks.